Hello there guys, welcome to another my live video. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's new formation, does seem to be working with Manchester United at this present time. Obviously we do know in the last two games that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has gone with a back three. Also I do credit him in the aspect, I think he's actually tactically got it right against Liverpool. He also tactically got it right yesterday against Partizan Belgrade. So now with this change of formation, are things going to turn around with Manchester United? Because obviously we do know for the majority of this season so far, Solskjaer has been going with that 4-2-3-1 formation. A lot of Man United fans, including myself, obviously have been criticising him for that, because we do know for the majority of this season he's actually been getting his tactics wrong, and we have been tactically inept, but he has been totally blameless in the last two games. But we are more aware, that we are enjoying our worst start to a Premier League season for 3 decades. So the last time we had as bad a start to this season was obviously back in 1989. We're only sitting 2 points above relegation at the moment in the league. We know we are sitting 14th, so you can quite frankly say at the moment we are facing a relegation battle. We've only registered 10 points from a possible 27, and we know that's nowhere near good enough to our standards. So we've only managed 2 wins in the league so far this season out of our first 9 games. We've drawn 4 and we have lost 3. But it was a really good win against Partizan Belgrade, so I will take that into account. Like I mentioned, it wasn't the best performances. Like I said, there was some good individual performances. Brandon Williams was absolutely fantastic. Solskjaer believes that Brandon Williams, will become a top-class player for Manchester United. And, Brandon Williams has now made 2 appearances for the club this season. Now, we could believe now that Brandon Williams is actually a better solution than Luke Shaw, because obviously we do know for quite some time Luke Shaw has been out with a hamstring problem. We know that obviously he's our first choice left-back, but obviously Brandon Williams is a left-back as well, and he was obviously playing at left wing-back yesterday. But there was some good individual performances. Like I mentioned, it was good to see James Garner make his full debut for the football club, because that was James Garner's first appearance for Man United since the 3-1 away. Since the 3-1 game against Crystal Palace last season. So we have got a lot of young players in the squad that are developing and trying to improve at Manchester United. But Solskjaer obviously did actually criticise our non-existent forward. He says he wasn't happy with their defending. But Solskjaer obviously he's aware that these still improvements are needed in the squad. Obviously we need to see further more investment in the squad in January and of course next summer. But for me, we still don't seem to be creating chances, and like I said on my recent videos, that's an element of concern. We need to start creating more chances. We need to start being ruthless stuff in front of goal. We haven't scored enough goals this season, and that actually replicates last season, because last season we wasn't scoring enough goals. We only managed 53 goals in the Premier League last season, and in every game we have scored in so far this season, we've actually only scored 1 goal prior to the Chelsea game, because obviously on the opening day this season against Chelsea, we did win by 4 goals to 0. Obviously a lot of our goals we have scored this season as well have come from penalties. So yeah, we do need to start scoring more goals. But we do actually look very exposed in that attacking line anywhere. Like I mentioned, following the departures of Romelu Lukaku and Alexis Sanchez, obviously Martial's just recently recovered from injury. He took his penalty well, fair play to him. And Rashford was injured not too long ago, and he hasn't performed to the standards as we all expected this season as Marcus Rashford. But I still would give Rashford obviously more time at the club and that, and we do know how good he can be. I think Rashford's had 2 good games this season. He was good in the game against Liverpool. He was good on the opening day against Chelsea. But Rashford has mainly enjoyed a difficult time this season in comparison to his time when he first broke into the senior squad. So we need at least 1 striker, maybe 2. Solskjaer wants us to bring a couple of strikers in January, but we need someone that can be more effective in the box, like I mentioned, and someone that can assure us goals and that. and I have, like I mentioned, got element of concerns about our midfield and that, the midfield, is very, very, bad at the moment, especially, without Paul Pogba there. So we do need to add depth in that midfield, we need to add, creativeness in that midfield and that. And it was a shame that during the summer that we didn't recommend the striker in or midfielder in, but, like I recently mentioned on my recent videos, I think we need at least, 5 to 6 more signings, before we are back, to being a competitive elite level football club, So some Man United fans' perceptions, like me, haven't really changed, regarding Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the last 2 games. Even the last 2 games have been very, very positive. These still the vast majority of Man United fans demanding Solskjaer out of the club. Obviously, there's still certain Man United fans, saying we should still back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer because. Obviously, analysing the majority of this Manchester United team isn't Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's, because vast majority of this team is Jose Mourinho's, because Jose Mourinho did recommend 11 players into the football club. Obviously, he's inheriting the vast majority of them now. Is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and there's still 9 players here from the Jose Mourinho era. So some people are saying, we should give him at least a couple more windows, to see who else he can recommend in to the football club. But there is actually, a lot of players on our agenda. There's a lot of players on our agenda, like I mentioned. But, in the next 2 windows, next 3 to 4 windows, the recruitment's got to improve, because analysing our recruitment, for several years now, it's been very, very poor, and the depth in the squad isn't good enough, and that stems from the board. This is why I said the board are a liability. The board, for me, need to assure structural changes at the club. They didn't back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough during the summer, so the board are also, accountable for that. So certain Man United fans are actually, demanding the board out, and our current board, and obviously, they want to demand a new board in. I think also Ed Woodward's been a liability for several years. He needs to take some responsibility, because there's also a lot of Man United fans demanding Ed Woodward out in the football club. Some of the blames obviously stemmed from Solskjaer. Some of it, for the majority of this season, obviously with his tactics and that, because for the majority of this season, like I mentioned, we have been tactically inept, but in the last 2 games, like I mentioned, we have showed tactical flexibility. Like I mentioned, there's also certain players that do need to step up to the plate without a shadow of a doubt. Solskjaer recently came out as well and said that he's backing Anthony Martial. He's backing Anthony Martial, and that obviously now the good news is he's recovered from injuries, Anthony Martial. Obviously, he had recently been out with a thigh injury, Martial. He enjoyed a good start to the season as well, Martial, before he had sustained that injury. Predominantly plays as the number 9 now, because it got confirmed at the start of this season that Anthony Martial has been given that number 9 shirt. We've got a few players that can play the number 9, but for me, Martial's more effective in that position, even though he does predominantly play out left on the play out wide on the left. But anyway, like I mentioned, Solskjaer's had to make a lot of alterations in the squad. He's had to make a lot of alterations in the squad due to the injuries that we've had. These 2 players now out with injury as we speak. Some of them obviously now have recovered, and they've regained full fitness. As you did see on my previous video, it got building. Obviously, I just done my Norwich Manchester United preview. Solskjaer did actually assure on Wednesday, this was prior to the Partizan Belgrade game, that Paul Pogba will miss the game against Norwich. Because obviously he's had a foot injury that's been an ongoing foot injury that's been surrounding the player for a matter of weeks. Even though Paul Pogba hasn't really exceeded expectations at Man United as we all thought he would have done, he's actually still an imperative player, so we can't take that into account. We are aware the difference he can make in that midfield, but he's mainly enjoyed a difficult time at Man United in comparison to his time when he was at Juventus. But yeah, he won't be playing on Sunday against Norwich. Good. I've got some positive feedback, regarding De Gea. Solskjaer confirmed on Wednesday that he will be playing on Sunday against Norwich. He obviously didn't, make the trip to Belgrade. De Gea, obviously, Romero played in goal against Partizan Belgrade. But, De Gea is obviously our first choice keeper, but in the Europa League and the cup games and that, obviously it's going to be Romero in contention in that over David De Gea. I actually had element of concerns, when reports were stemming out last week, saying that David De Gea had sustained an injury whilst he was on international duty with Spain. It got revealed that it was a leg injury. Obviously at the first we didn't know the extent of the injury, but then it got revealed that Solsjaker had first. Well, he said it wasn't as severe as he first feared. So the good news is De Gea will be playing on Sunday. I can definitely assure as well that Luke Shaw and Nemanja Matic, they're two players that are definitely not going to be taking part on Sunday. Luke Shaw still out with a hamstring problem, hasn't played since the 2-1 home defeat to Crystal Palace, and also too Nemanja Matic is out with a knock injury as well. And even though Matic would have been fit, now I still don't think he would have been selected, because obviously Matic is no longer our first choice. And like I mentioned, I think Matic is one of the problematic players at the football club. And again, like I mentioned, I think Man United definitely overpaid for Matic. We really overpaid for Matic. We paid around £40 million from Chelsea. He's now into his third season as a Manchester United player. But for me, not getting any younger, too old now, too slow, makes that midfielder look totally imbalanced, and he needs to be moved on definitely. And his contract expires at the end of the season, but we do have an option to extend it by a further year, Matic's contract. I don't think Man United, will anywhere. But yeah, he's been out with a knock injury. Winnie Shaw Bay's out. Until the end of the year with a knee injury. So yeah, he's out. He's Eric Bay. Fossil Mensah is still out with injury. I can confirm that Diego Dalot will not be playing on Sunday. He's sustained quite a few injuries this season, as Diego Dalot. Obviously, he's one of our backup options at that right back position. But I think he's played a couple of games this season. Tuan Zebe, I was reading reports prior to the Partizan Belgrade game yesterday, and it actually said that Tuan Zebe could be back for the game against Norwich. Tuan Zebe, I don't know the extent of the injury is unknown. I don't know how severe it is. That's what I mean. And I know he's got a hip injury. He was named in the starting 11 against Liverpool, but obviously he couldn't play because he sustained this injury. So Marcus Rojo had taken his place in the team. But definitely my perception on Tuan Zebe is that I think he'll be one of the young upcoming players that does become a success in the football club. News regarding Jesse Lingard, he was back in action against Partizan Belgrade. He was recently out with a hamstring problem, but Lingard, I saw some elements of his game against Partizan Belgrade, and I thought I saw some improvements, but he still needs to improve, reflecting on his status at the football club. You know what I mean? But yeah, we have still got quite a few injuries. But yeah, and in this game against Norwich anyway, like I mentioned, Solskjaer will make alterations in the squad. And, we usually do have a good record against Norwich, especially at Carrow Road. Like I mentioned on my preview on my last video, we have, the last time we played Norwich at Carrow Road was actually, back in 2016 in Louis van Gaal's second season. We did actually beat Norwich by 1-0 in that game. I think it was Juan Mata that scored the goal. Norwich, I think they've beaten us twice at Carrow Road. They beat us back in 2012 1-0. And they beat us back in 2005 as well, did Norwich. But apart from that, they haven't beaten us at Carrow Road from, well, as far as I can remember anyway. That's obviously most recent. Norwich are struggling in the league. They're sitting 19th, so they are in the relegation zone. They've only registered 7 points so far this season. We're actually sitting just 3 points above Norwich. Norwich's last win, obviously, was against Manchester City when they did, win by 3 goals to 2. And Solskjaer is wary of the threat that Norwich, can, do. They can show good attacking intent. They can be good on the counter attack. But defensively, they're really, really poor, so they do concede a lot of goals, do Norwich. But yeah, this is a game, Manchester United should win. And, we have got games now coming up thick and fast. We've got this one on Sunday. We've got Chelsea coming up in the Carabao Cup. Then we go away, I think, to Bournemouth. And, it was good that it was good as well, that we ended 11 away games without a win, that win against Partizan Belgrade. That was our first win since the PSG game last season, of course, when we did produce that miraculous comeback. Yeah, but I think, Man United are going to do this game, to be quite honest with you. Solskjaer, I think, like he's revealed, he'll probably stick, with a back three at the back, like he has done in the last two games. Yeah, so I am really, really looking forward to the game, like I mentioned. Really, really looking forward to the game. Like I mentioned, but I know there was reports coming out the other week, basically saying that if we fail to beat Norwich, that could end Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tenure at Man United, and obviously, it has been revealed, how much it will cost Manchester United to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and it reportedly said we'll have to pay around 7 million in compensation, which is around half than what we paid to get rid of Jose Mourinho, because the club paid around 19 or 20 million pounds to get rid of Jose Mourinho. But Man United, I still believe, will give him more time. He hasn't been here that long, he's only been here overall, like I mentioned, for 10 months. We know he's enjoyed a difficult 7-month tenure with the club, because it has all gone wrong since he got the job permanently. Don't forget, Solskjaer is on a 3-year contract with Man United. But like I mentioned on my recent videos, that some aspects of me credit him. He's got a lot of trust with his young players. Recommended 3 good players to the squad during the summer. So good during the summer that we did address, some of the problematic areas that we obviously needed to address. But obviously, in one summer transfer window, it's going to be obviously hard, to address, all the areas that you want to address. So this is why some people are saying, that, he needs a bit more time. And these 3 players we've brought in, Dan James, Maguire and Bissaka, they've all settled in, really, really well. And you can quite frankly say, I do believe Anwan Bissaka has been one of our most consistent signings. And he did get rid of a lot of the deadwood during the summer, so we did get that summer clear out that we wanted. But like I do keep mentioning, despite the fact that a lot of players have left since Solskjaer's arrival, I still believe there is more problematic players in the football club. And Solskjaer and Ed Woodward, both have the same perceptions, regarding if Solskjaer's the right manager. Solskjaer insists he's the right man, that can elevate Man United forward. Ed Woodward 100% insists he's still backing him. But yeah, we know that a massive rebuild is needed at the football club. My element of concern about Solskjaer is that, he hasn't really got that managerial experience, not really to the highest level. I know he knows the traditions of Man United and that, he was a great player for us for 11 years and he flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance, and, he's got that proven pedigree as a player, but he hasn't really got it as a manager and that, Don't forget he got relegated with Cardiff. After Cardiff, he went and did, his managerial credentials were really, really good when he was at Mold. But Mold obviously had a big team, but he still won a couple of Norwegian titles with Mold. But yeah, maybe we should give him more time and that. Solskjaer, yeah, he's nearly been at the football club, now a year. But I still believe he probably will be here in January. To be quite honest with you. And we want to get back into the top 4 this season. We want to get back into Champions League, because when you can offer Champions League football, that means in that aspect you can find it easier to attract players to the elite level and that. And we can't enjoy a worse season this season than what we saw last season, because last season was bad enough. Last season we finished 6th. Last season, we failed to qualify for the Champions League and that. Like I mentioned, and I didn't expect Man United to win the league this season or mount any kind of title challenge up. But if we do if we do the right transfer business in the next couple of windows and that, I think that's when we can maybe considering mounting a title challenge up. Till then, no. But I think, we're not good enough to win the league yet. We're not good enough to even mount any kind of title challenge up. But I think the squad is good enough, to finish in the top 4. That's my perception on that, without a shadow of a doubt. Without, definitely it's good enough, for a top 4 finish. And I think, we failed to qualify for the Champions League 3 times out of the 6 seasons since the Ferguson era. We've only failed to secure European football once since 1990, which is nearly 3 decades ago. And I think that came back under the David Moyes era, don't forget. But, Solskjaer's our 4th permanent manager, since the Alex Ferguson era. He's our 4th permanent manager. we're not really known for the attacking football club. We have obviously, sacked 3 managers already since the Ferguson era. David Moyes left after he served 10 years there with Man United. He had a really short tenure with the club. Louis van Gaal left after, I think he had a year and a half, was it something like that, Man United. He got sacked despite the fact he won the FA Cup. And obviously, we had Jose Mourinho for 2.5 years. He's actually, the longest manager we've had since, the Ferguson era. Despite the fact he won the Europa League and the League Cup in his first season, Mourinho got the sack. Obviously, the 3-1 defeat to Liverpool at Anfield last season, ended Jose Mourinho's tenure. So I want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tenure, to become successful at Manchester United. I'm, really hopeful about that. But like I mentioned, reflecting on the money, the history, the potential and the size of this club, we are aware, that we should be in much more commanding position. I think, everybody, does know that. And I think, Man United have made mistakes, in the last 6 or 7 years. And I think, one of the mistakes we obviously made was giving Solskjaer the job. We shouldn't have given him the job. I do believe, the club have put him in a very, very difficult position. Because, reflecting back when he was the interim manager, he went really, really well. He got the best out of his group of players. The results were good. The performances were good. And he exceeded expectations. And don't forget, he won his first state, and he won 14 out of 19 in total. But it's all gone wrong since he's got the job permanently. But this formation now could prove to be crucial, and this could turn Manchester United's season around, which we obviously all want to see, because we are the most successful team in England historically. We've won 42 trophies, I think, overall, is what I know. Obviously, the vast majority of the Super Bowl one came under Ferguson anyway. I think we won around 38 trophies under Alex Ferguson. Ferguson didn't settle in straight away. It's a prime example now with Solskjaer. Ferguson didn't settle in straight away. It took him his 4 years, to win anything with Manchester United. And maybe Solskjaer needs that amount of time, maybe at least 2 or 3 years, to see, what he can do, basically. But we know now in this generation, the boards are a lot more ruthless, basically. But I think we'll give him at least until the end of this season. Definitely, and I think the board themselves did assure them at the start of this season that Solskjaer will stay to the end of this season, because I think the board realised that they didn't back him enough during the course of the summer. Like I mentioned, we haven't won the Premier League since 2013. Obviously, that was in Alex Ferguson's last season, so it's now nearly 7 years, since we last won the league. And that. But yeah, a massive rebuild is needed into the football club, and we aim in January and next summer and that to bring players in who are obviously going to improve Man United, players who are going to fit the culture and that of the football club, because we have had cultural problems for the last 6 or 7 years. I will admit that. As you all know, recently Roy Keane came out and suggested that Manchester United should buy Harry Kane. This is what he said. Solskjaer responded to his suggestions, and Solskjaer's obviously an admirer of Harry Kane. I think Solskjaer's probably aware that it's very unlikely that Man United, will sign Harry Kane, and he would cost the club a substantial amount. We'd probably have to pay around £200 million to get Harry Kane. But yeah, he will cost us a lot of money. And all that, but Solskjaer is making plans for January, and I think Solskjaer wants to sign 2 forwards in January. He obviously wants to address the other problematic areas in the squad. Like I mentioned, we're definitely expected to sign Mario Mandzukic in January. Definitely, he's our top priority for January. Don't forget, he's slashed his wage demands in half from 300 to 150 grand a week in order to come to United. Man United are going to get him for around 10 million. That's a cheap solution, but I think he'll be ideal for us. He'll be a good replacement for Lukaku. Lukaku can be he'll be effective in the box, and he can score Man United some goals, like I mentioned. He's a good player. He's never played in the Premier League. He's had 4 good years with Juventus. Obviously, now he doesn't get in the team, so he served his 2 requirements, because since, Maurizio Sarri got recommended in, he's not had a minute of football under his belt as, Mario Mandzukic. And I think Man United are prepared to hand him around an 18-month contract. But at Juventus, he's managed 162 appearances and scored 44 goals. Juventus did pay around £21 million for him from Atletico Madrid. but I think Juventus have confirmed anyway. It's very, very probable he will leave in January. My only element of concern, like I said, is his age, because he is 33 years of age. He's one of the players that definitely Man United are expected to sign in January without a shadow of a doubt. But if Solskjaer obviously gets Mario Mandzukic, then obviously he's broken his transfer policy of recruiting young British players. Because don't forget, he revealed early on this summer, he wanted to get the recruit of young British players. There's still quite a lot of British players on his agenda, don't get me wrong on that. Yeah, and like I mentioned, it's really, really good that we've got a lot of young players in the squad that are developing and trying to improve. I've got some element of concerns about certain young upcoming players. It was good against Partizan Belgrade that Solskjaer, give, Garner his full debut, like I mentioned in my recent videos. He went with Brandon Williams again. So basically, the majority of the young players have been given their chances. McTominay's done well this season, so he's deserved to keep his place in the team. And McTominay, he's only 22 years of age, so he deserves to keep his place in the team. And Fred's done really, really well. Well, in certain games, not all the games, obviously. I've got the same perception on Fred and McTominay. I don't know if they're both the long-term solutions for the club. McTominay's obviously performed better than Fred. So I think, regarding Fred, he definitely deserves more time at the football club, because he's only been here since last summer, and we are aware that Fred hasn't performed to the standards as we all expected him to, basically. He hasn't performed to the same sort of level, to as he did do at Shakhtar Donetsk. But maybe, we should still give him more time at the football club, Fred. And we did overpay for him, and like I said, we're known in recent years for overpaying for players, so we will take that into account. I can definitely assure that, Mason Greenwood and Alex Tuanzebe, they'll be both become successes at the football club, because we've seen glimpses of how good they are in the games they've all played in, the games they've played in this season, so I'm very, very happy about that. So hopefully now, regarding the Liverpool result, we can build on that, and we have built on that with a good win against Partizan Belgrade, and now hopefully we can keep building and building and building, and hopefully now we can start seeing positive results, see more goals and that. This is what we want to see at Manchester United, as everyone is all aware of, and I know there's been a lot of talks going on about Max Allegri. For a number of weeks now, there's been a lot of talks about him possibly becoming Manchester United's next manager to replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Now, some Man United fans believe he would be the right candidate for the football club, and it said recently that Max Allegri was in discussions with Manchester United, over the regarding his salary, of what he would earn, if he came to Manchester United. And it reportedly said he would earn around 6.5 million a year, maybe even more than that. Man United have. He's demanded a few things as well. If he's to take the mantle on at the club, he demanded, to bring, everyone as one of his coaching staff, former Man United player, and he also demanded to bring in, Emre Can and Mario Mandzukic with him, and all that. But, Max Allegri, he's got that managerial experience. He's been managing for just over 16 years. Began his managerial career in 2003. Obviously, stepped down as Juventus manager at the end of last season. Obviously, he had a 5-year tenure with Juventus, did Max Allegri. He won his vast majority of silverware with Juventus, and he got them obviously to 2 Champions League finals. He's been learning English in preparation for his potential move, don't forget. But if Solskjaer was to be sacked in the future, then I think he would be the likely candidate. So we've identified him as our primary candidate, and obviously know that there's been other managers thrown into the equation. But yeah, he would be the likely one, and he would be our 5th permanent manager since the Alex Ferguson era. But yeah, like I mentioned, you know, I do believe, you know, we will stick with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for this present time. You know, if it had been any other manager now, up until, you know, the Liverpool game, prior to the Liverpool game, maybe, you know, he would have there would have been sacked by now. It's because it's obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and the aspects of the board have softened their stance on him, because he is a club legend. You know, don't forget. Don't forget. And you've already seen my starting 11 prediction, haven't you? You know, for the Norwich Man United game. But like I mentioned on my previous video I've just done, I'll give you more build up to the game. Obviously, you know, when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has done his press conference, like I mentioned, I do presume his press conference, you know, will be tomorrow. You know, he'll give us some more team news tomorrow, without a shadow of a doubt. But we know definitely Pogba's out, De Gea's back, which is good news. Probably Shaw's still out, Matic is still out. Not too sure regarding Tuanzebe, to be quite honest with you. I probably presume that Dalot will be out, but we obviously know we'll see. And also at Man United, you know, the style of play needs to improve, because the brand of football is obviously, you know, very, very poor. You know, it was totally comparison to what I saw when Solskjaer was the interim manager, because I thought, you know, the football was brilliant under, you know, under Solskjaer whilst he was the interim manager in that. But yeah, so that's everything to update you with today, guys. And I think, you know, Man United should have actually recommended a director of footballing during the summer. You know, that's something else, you know, that actually, you know, really, really annoyed me. Because if we had got that director of footballing, maybe in that aspect, you know, Solskjaer would have been back tomorrow. And there was quite a few former Man United players linked with that director's role during the course of the summer. You know, I know there was recent talks, obviously, you know, about Edwin van der Sar coming in. But I said, if we were to recommend a director of footballing anyway, it would be ideal, you know, to recommend someone who knows the club inside out, and someone who's got the experience, someone who would be reliable to, you know, oversee our transfer business. Yeah, but obviously, you know, we didn't get that new director of football in. But, you know, we have spent big on players over the years. You know, like I mentioned, always spending big and getting them Glasgow players does not always guarantee success. So maybe, like I mentioned at the start of the summer, we should be sensible. With our recruitment and that. But definitely, the recruitment has got to improve at Manchester United. Definitely. Yeah. So yeah, we'll be back with more live videos, probably, you know, tomorrow now, like I said. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe, as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.